So I want to know what you guys think about this. And if there's anything that's outdated that they've done as of today, which I think the pre-save thing has to be another one that's added, so we could say 8 to this, because them pre getting all those pre-saves is breaking the records on X right now. So let's check
Imagine
this
a
out real
world
quick.
where the language of music transcends every physical border, where 7 young men from a tiny, struggling agency in Seoul managed to rewrite the entire blueprint of global superstardom. We aren't just talking about catchy tunes or synchronized dance moves anymore. We are talking about a cultural earthquake that shifted the very axis of the music industry forever. Have you ever wondered what it truly takes to dismantle a system that was never built for you? How does a group not only reach the summit but build an entirely new mountain that sits way above the clouds? Today, we are diving deep into a legacy that feels more like a myth than reality. We're peeling back the layers of a phenomenon that turned the impossible into a daily routine. From the dusty practice rooms of 2013 to the hallowed halls of the United Nations and the Grammys, their journey is paved with milestones that don't just look like numbers, they look like miracles captured in digital stone. But here is the real kicker. In an industry that moves at the speed of light, where trends die before they even fully bloom, there are some achievements so massive, so statistically insane, that they might just stay locked in the history books forever. Are we witnessing a once-in-a-century anomaly? Could any other artist, no matter how talented or backed by millions, ever hope to touch these specific heights again? Or has the bar been set so high that the
Ooh.
ceiling has finally vanished? Get ready, because we are about to count down the feats that redefined what it means to be a legend in the 21st century.
Ooh. Already that intro gives me the chills. That intro right there gave me the chills. I'm not gonna lie. Because really put this in perspective. There's so many great artists out there. There's so many people out there that have done so much for the music industry. Have they ever broke so many barriers that BTS has broken? Let's keep it real here. Let's keep it real here. And this is no biased, because I understand, armies here, we're gonna look out for the boys, you know what I'm saying? But in all reality, MJ, Michael Jackson, they've surpassed them. Let's be real here. You know, there's been plenty of artists that are in the history books as amazing artists. They only hit a certain cap. BTS is really out of this world. It's so incredible to see, for real, for real. Let's
These aren't
continue
just
this.
trophies, they are scars of a revolution. Let's
Let's
explore
see.
the 7 BTS records that are so legendary, they might actually be untouchable until the end of time. Buckle up, because this isn't just a list, it's a testament to a power that changed the world. Do you think you know every record they've smashed? Think again, because some of these will make you question the very limits of human achievement and fan devotion. This is the ultimate deep dive into the legacy of the kings of the modern era. Are you ready to see the records that might never, ever be
Yes!
broken as long as music
Golly, man, how many times you gotta ask? Just yes, I am ready. Come on.
exists?
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Number 7. Artist of the Year at the Mama Awards. Net Asian Music Awards. The Daesang Dynasty. 7 years of pure dominance, the absolute peak of global music history.
7 years of pure dominance. When was this video dropped? 2 weeks ago. Okay, perfect. So this video might be a little up to date, which is cool.
To truly understand why this record is widely considered the Everest of the music industry, we have to travel back to a time when the world looked very different, specifically to the year 2016, as a moment that shifted the tectonic plates of the global entertainment landscape forever. You see, in the fiercely competitive world of K-pop, there is a hierarchy that everyone thought was set in stone, a system dominated by the big 3 agencies, where a small group from a struggling, nearly bankrupt label like Big Hit Entertainment was never supposed to even sit at the table, let alone own the whole room. When
Oof.
BTS won their very first Artist of the Year Daesang at the 2000
And I'm never gonna stop saying how amazing that is, for real, because thinking back, this is like such a beautiful thing to continue to mention. And it could be repetitive to a lot of people, but I think it's very important to continue to say it because a struggling company going through what they're going through to now be who they are, like, bro, like this is the definition of coming out the mud in US terms. Coming from the bottom, making it to where they are. But not only where they are, like they're really at a pedestal to where they're so untouched, not even the top of any person or any group could ever reach them because they're just that much higher in the pedestal compared to any other artist, you know? It's crazy.
2016 Mnet Asian Music Awards, the collective gasp of the industry was deafening because it wasn't just a trophy, it was a revolution, a signal that the underdog had finally bitten back. But what makes this record impossible to break isn't just that first win, it's the sheer mind-numbing consistency that followed. As they went on to claim the Artist of the Year title for 7 consecutive years, from 2016 all the way through 2022. Just think about the sheer psychological and physical toll of staying at the absolute summit of the most fast-paced industry on the planet for nearly a decade. Most groups are lucky to have a prime that lasts 3 years. Yet BTS managed to expand their prime into a multi-generational epic. This specific
Wow.
record at Mama is a statistical anomaly because the awards are based on a complex cocktail of physical sales, digital streaming, global voting, and professional judging, meaning you can't just buy or luck your way into this. You have to be the undisputed choice of the entire planet year after year. The year
Wow.
2019 was perhaps the most terrifying display of this dominance, when BTS achieved what many called the all kill, or the clean sweep, taking home every single grand prize, Daesang, available in a single night, including Artist of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, and Worldwide Icon of the Year, a feat so overwhelming it
Ooh,
actually forced award shows to reconsider their category.
God damn. Wow, 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 wow. Have a great night. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate your time. Oh my God, it's 1 a.m. Get some rest. Get some rest. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Everyone, say good night. Be nice. Be nice. Come on, guys.
Because one group was simply too big for the stage. We are talking
Wow.
about a period where they weren't just competing against other K-pop groups. They were competing against their own previous shadows, constantly outdoing Blood, Sweat, and Tears with DNA, then Fake Love, then The World
Rena, facts. Facts. Oh my God. And that's another thing that we got to continue to express and let people know like, hey, in all actuality, you guys are so lucky that these guys had to be enlisted in the military because that is the law. Because it is the law. If they didn't have to do that, do you know how many more awards they would have received because they would have continued on to their career? So, if in all actuality, they need to say thank you to BTS because they got a little gap to be able to make music, become popular, get a fan base, and continue on and live a good life. But now that they're back, it's over. But I'm just saying, absolutely right on that one.
Shaking Boy with Love. And finally, the Dynamite Air Fails, constantly outdoing Blood, Sweat, and Tears with DNA, then Fake Love, then the world-shaking Boy with Love, and
Woo!
finally the Dynamite era that turned them into household names in every corner of the earth. The emotional weight of this record reached its fever pitch in 2018, a year that fans remember with tears and shivers because it was on that Mama stage, while holding the Artist of the Year trophy, that they revealed they had considered disbanding earlier that year due to the immense pressure of their sudden fame. That
Oof.
moment of raw, bleeding honesty transformed them from mere idols into cultural icons who shared their pain with millions, creating a bond with their fan base, ARMY, that is more like a religion than a fandom. When you look at the numbers, the gap between BTS and whoever is in second place is so vast it looks like a typographical error. They have accumulated over 70 Daesangs across all Korean award shows, but the 7-year Mama Artist of the Year streak is the crown jewel because it tracks their evolution from social media darlings to global titans. To break this record, A new artist would not only need to debut and immediately become the biggest thing in the world, but they would have to maintain that exact level of explosive growth and cultural relevance without a single dip for 8 straight years.
You know what's so crazy? I think in order for anyone to have a successful career is to never compare themselves to BTS. Never ever try to outdo what they did. If anything, look up to them. Be like, damn, these guys were amazing. I love what they did. I want to learn from them. How did they do it? How did they carry themselves? How did they build an army? Understand, sometimes you're never going to be able to beat somebody, and that's okay. You have a blueprint now. Follow the blueprint, make yourself who you're going to be. Don't try to beat them because you're not. Let's be real. They're really never going to be this itself. And this is just the first one. We're only on the first one. We're not even past 5 minutes of the video. We're on the first one, man. Like, come on now.
In an era where the human attention span is shorter than a TikTok video. It requires a perfect storm of talent, timing, a revolutionary marketing strategy, and a level of group chemistry where 7 distinct personalities remain perfectly synchronized through military enlistments, solo careers, and the heavy crown of being the pride of a nation. It is a
Mm-hmm.
record built on the blood, sweat, and tears of 7 men who were told they weren't good enough, only to end up being the only.
But then they also have contents even when they were in the military and solo albums. Exactly, exactly, exactly. They really held it down, honestly, because if someone didn't know, let's say, I mean, I'm not even gonna say if they didn't know because now, personally, I feel like since I know BTS, everybody knows BTS. But I gotta understand that there's a lot of people that still don't know who they are. However, they probably heard a J Hope song. They probably heard a Jungkook song, solos. So now, whenever they represent who they are, they always mention BTS, and that brings them to Army. You know what I mean? Just becoming an Army member and being with BTS. But you're right. They did have a lot of dope, things going on because we reacted to some of it, and I'm not gonna lie, that was some of the best things. And I'm honestly looking forward to the album. But in the future, obviously they're gonna do their own thing. They're gonna do solo projects, and I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff too. I'm not gonna lie to you, because they're all individually talented, and they all like to explore music in their own way, which I personally love, and I'm sure a lot of us do.
Ones left standing at the top of the mountain. Every time they stepped onto that mama stage, the atmosphere changed. It wasn't just an awards ceremony anymore, it was a coronation, a yearly reminder that the BTS era wasn't a phase or a trend, but a permanent shift in how humanity consumes music.
Hmm.
Even now, as the industry moves into the 5th generation of K-pop, the shadows of those 7 trophies loom so large that every new achievement by others is inevitably measured against the standard BTS set, a standard that feels less like a goal and more like a legend from an ancient era. Can you even imagine the level of dedication it takes to never miss a beat, to never lose the fire, and to keep an entire world captivated for 2,555 days straight? This isn't just about
Shoosh.
music, it's about the endurance of the human spirit and a level of dominance that we might never see repeated in our lifetime, or perhaps in the history of music as we know it.
Is it safe to say that BTS is literally gonna be the one that goes down in history as the absolute best ever, and no one's ever gonna be able to surpass them even in the future lifetime? Can we safely say that? Hmm. Let me know. Let me know. I personally think so. In this in this case, I personally think so because if they were able to accomplish this, and this is just the first one that we're getting into, I could only imagine what else they've done. because this is literally the first one, man. Are you kidding me?
Mama Artist of the Year
Oh
record
my
is more
god.
than a statistic. It is the physical manifestation of a miracle that happened in real time, proving that while many can reach the top, only BTS could move the mountain itself. As the lights
Woo!
dim on each
Well
award
said.
season, the question remains, is there anyone even capable of dreaming this big again, or has the Artist of the Year title essentially been retired in the hearts of the public? This record stands as a monolithic testament to the fact that for 7 years, the world had only one heartbeat, and it beat to the rhythm of 7 boys from Seoul who refused to let the world tell them no.
Woo! Love it.
Number 6. The Billboard Hot 100 Monopoly. The fastest 6 number 1 hits since the Beatles. The impossible chart takeover, the death of the glass ceiling. To truly grasp the magnitude of what we are talking about here, you have to stop thinking about BTS as just a boy band and start viewing them as a literal force of nature that collided with the most impenetrable fortress in the music world, the United States Billboard Hot 100. For decades, the Western music industry operated under an invisible but very real glass ceiling, a barrier that whispered to any artist not singing in English or not backed by a massive American machine that they could visit the charts, but they could never own them. But then came the era between 2020 and 2021, a period that historians will one day look back on as the BTS occupation of the American airwaves. We are talking about a record so statistically improbable that it hadn't been seen since the British invasion of the 1960 seconds. BTS managed to land 6 number 1 songs on the Hot 100 inches, just over a year, 1 year, and 1 month, to be precise. To put that in perspective, the only other act to achieve such a rapid succession of chart toppers was the Beatles themselves, back in 1964 and 1966. Think about that for a second. We are comparing
Oh
7 guys from
my
South Korea to the
god.
most influential band in the history of Western civilization. The streak began with the explosion of Dynamite in September 2020, a song that didn't just break the ice, it shattered the entire frozen ocean. It was their first all-English track, a gift to a world suffering through the isolation of the pandemic, and it debuted at number 1, making them the first Korean act ever to reach that summit. But while critics were ready to call it a one-hit wonder or a fluke of the digital age, BTS was just getting started. They followed it up with the Savage Love remix, and then came the moment that truly defied the laws of physics in the music industry. Life Goes On. This wasn't a bright, poppy English track designed for radio. It was a soulful, pop, reflective Korean language ballad. When Life Goes On debuted at number 1, it became the first song primarily in a non-English language to ever debut at the top of the Hot 100 inches, the chart's 62-year history. That
And that itself has to be continuously talked about, because honestly, that's a big win for Korea. Korea in general, just for these 7 guys to come from Seoul, Korea, and just make what they make, become number 1 in one of the most prestige lists in the world is big, especially when it's not even in English. What is amazing. Oh my god. And you know what's so funny? Like I said, this is so repetitive to us, but I just got to continue to put light in in these moments, because in all actuality, when the heck has this ever happened? This is something so historic that in the future it's still going to be talked about, and it's still going to be something that is going to be pinpointed, because it's so amazing that this is being done. Like, for real. It's crazy,
moment right
right?
there was the ultimate mic drop to every gatekeeper who said you had to change your language to be successful in the West. But the momentum didn't stop. Then came the Butter era in the summer of 2021, a song that didn't just hit number 1, it camped out there. Butter spent a staggering 10 weeks at the top,
Ooh.
becoming the longest-running number 1 hit of 2021, holding off global superstars and domestic titans alike. And
Wow.
in a move that felt like a scripted movie plot, Butter was eventually knocked off the number 1 spot by none other than BTS themselves with Permission to Dance.
Love that. Oh my god. Oh my god. I love it. I love it. The only reason they got knocked down is because they dropped another banger. Oh my God. Who could beat BTS? I know who could beat BTS. BTS themselves. That's the only people that could beat them. Oh my gosh.
This self replacement at the top of the charts is a feat so rare that only a handful of legends like Drake, Taylor Swift, and the Beatles have ever done it. They capped off this historic run with My
Crazy.
Universe, their collaboration with Coldplay, proving that even the legends of the West were now lining up to be part of the BTS orbit. Now, standing here in 2026, looking back at that 2 year stretch, the record feels even more untouchable because the rules of the game have changed. Shortly after BTS dominated the charts, Billboard actually altered its rules regarding bulk purchases and digital sales, many believe specifically to curb the unprecedented power of the BTS army. This means that the exact path BTS took to achieve those 6 number ones is now essentially illegal under current chart regulations. They didn't just break the record, they broke the system so thoroughly that the system had to be rewritten to prevent it from happening again. It was a perfect
Oh.
storm of a global fandom's unmatched mobilization and a group's relentless creative output. The
And you know who did that? Army did that. Army did that. The fandom did that. Wow. Army is truly amazing. And I'm always going to say that, man. Like, for real, Army has to be the most dedicating, the most polite. That's key word right there, polite. Because I never in my life have seen people move the way that Army does. After finding out so much about Army and just the way that they move, what they've done for the community, how they match everything, how they have so much almost influence. And I want to say that, and this might be controversial, and if it is, that's okay. But I feel that a lot of fandoms should really look into how Army is. True Army. Not the BS Army, not the ones that want to start stuff. True Army. Because the way that Army moves, I really admire. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I became one of you guys, because you guys really move militant. You guys really are nice. You guys move in a way that you guys want to represent well for BTS. You guys don't go to other people and talk and bash them. You guys don't disrespect other fandoms. You guys don't try to do any of that. You guys are just focused on BTS. And you guys are here just to, obviously spread what they do. But if someone comes at you with like, oh, I like this group, it's like, oh, that's, great. I like them too, but I'm here for BTS, and I really admire that. That's so amazing for you guys. So I want to clap for you guys. Actually, let's go ahead and give it up for Army, man, because for real, this is one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen.
emotional weight of this achievement cannot be overstated. It was the sound of millions of fans around the world saying, "We will make you listen." It was the ultimate validation for a group that was once told they were too niche or too foreign for the American mainstream. When you look at the speed of those 6 number
Crazy.
ones, you aren't just looking at sales figures. You are looking at the moment the global music industry's center of gravity shifted from the West to the East. It required a level of synchronized effort that feels more like a military operation than a music release. To break this record today, an artist would need to overcome not just the competition, but the new, stricter Billboard algorithms that are designed to favor radio play, a metric that has traditionally been biased against non-Western artists. BTS achieved this dominance while being largely
Woo!
ignored by US terrestrial radio for years, making their chart success a purely democratic victory fueled by the people. It's a record that screams
Love it.
impossible because it was achieved against the wind, against the grain, and against every historical precedent. Can you imagine the pressure of having the entire world waiting to see if you can do it again, only to come back and do it 5 more times in 14 months? This record is the definitive proof that BTS didn't just join the elite, they redefined what the elite looks like. They turned the
Damn.
Billboard Hot 100 into their personal playground, and the echoes of that takeover are still vibrating through the industry today. It's a legacy of defiance, a story of 7 men who looked at the highest wall in music and decided to simply fly over it. As we move further into the future, the 6 and 13 record remains a shining golden lighthouse a reminder of the time when 7 boys from Seoul became the undisputed kings of the world's most influential music market. Does
Ooh,
anyone else possess the sheer cultural gravity to pull off a feat like this ever again? Or
nope.
was this a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic alignment that we were lucky enough to witness? The numbers say it's a miracle, the history books say it's a revolution, but the fans know it was simply the inevitable result of a bond that no chart rule could ever break.
Shh.
Number 5. Guinness World
Crazy.
Record.
Crazy, because that really showed the industry that if the people want it, the people will get it. Army is gonna get it. They became number one and they stayed there. Let's watch the billboards when they drop their music again this year. We're gonna be back up there. They're gonna, oh man, I'm already knowing number one. Easy number one.
Ever break. Number 5. Guinness World Record for most viewed YouTube video in 24 hours? The Digital Apocalypse. The 108 million view miracle. The day the internet stood still. To truly understand why this record feels like something pulled straight out of a sci-fi novel, you have to imagine the sheer scale of the digital universe and how, for one 24-hour period in May 2021, the entire world seemed to funnel its collective energy into a single link. We are talking about the release of Butter, a song that didn't just break the internet, it essentially redesigned the way we perceive digital power and the influence of a global community. Before BTS, the idea of hitting 100 million views in a single day was considered a mathematical impossibility, a theoretical ceiling that experts believed no human being or marketing machine could ever pierce. But
Wow.
as we've learned through history, BTS doesn't just look for ceilings, they look for new galaxies to inhabit.
Ooh. Wow. And obviously, we knew about this information, but it's so beautiful to hear it, man. Anybody that wants to really like look into these guys, you know what's so crazy? All right, here, my switch of thigh was just crazy right here. For the people out there that like seeing, BTS reactors or like to see, people that just watch BTS, whether it's their music or anything like that. I think that it's so amazing to watch them and want, like I said, to be like them and want to achieve the stuff that they achieve. Obviously, it's going to be different, it's going to be hard, but it's like you have the blueprint. Be yourself and try to thrive for big things into your life. And that's the same way that I feel. Like I see what they achieve and I'm just honestly blown away and I'm just like, how amazing do these guys feel coming from nothing to achieving all of this, being in the Guinness, world record of especially this as a content creator is amazing. 108 million views in the first 24 hours. Bro, I remember when we were dropping videos, right? And this was in the beginning when we first started checking out BTS. There was one point that a premiere video on our channel was at 102 people watching the premiere video. And I was like, what? That is the most we've ever had ever. I screenshotted and everything. I was like, "What? This is amazing." In the first in the first 24 hours, it was at 100K views and I was like, "What? This is amazing." You know what I'm saying? And it just felt good and it felt good. So for them, being artists and being people that they've been wanting this for so long, they really, you know, wanted to achieve this since the jump. I just cracked because of passion. I don't know if you guys heard that. I went like this and I cracked my fingers because I was just like, you got to understand, these guys have been pursuing this career path for a long time, and for them to achieve all of these things on the way just shows that hunger. And I really admire people like this because it's just like, damn, like, this-
This record was already
amazing.
held by them with Dynamite, which had clocked in at an insane 101.1 million
They
views.
surpassed
But when
themselves
Butter
again.
dropped, the numbers didn't just climb. They exploded in a way that actually caused the YouTube servers to struggle with the sheer volume of data being processed.
Wow.
On the 21st of May 2021, at exactly 1 p.m. KST, 3.9 million people were already waiting in a virtual room just to watch the premiere simultaneously, which is another world record in itself. Imagine filling the largest stadium on Earth 40 times over, all at the exact same second, just to
Oh,
catch a glimpse of a music video. As the clock started ticking, the view count became a blur of digits that the human eye couldn't even track. But here is where the impossible part kicks in. YouTube's algorithm is notoriously one of the most sophisticated and ruthless pieces of code in existence,
facts.
designed to detect bots, filter out
Facts.
repetitive plays, and
Facts.
trim any views it deems illegitimate. For
Yes.
years, fandoms across the globe had been in a constant war with this algorithm, watching in frustration as millions of views would disappear during the first few hours of a release. Yet, even with the algorithm working at maximum intensity to verify every single click, Butter managed to finish its first 24 hours with a staggering 108.2.
So this is even though there should have been more views to this, but the algorithm supposedly is detecting that there's not real views there, which is crazy. Which is crazy because YouTube has to be one of the most strictest platforms to do content in. Because I almost got in trouble on this live stream itself playing RM Soul not too long ago. I already had a warning. And I'm like, oh, let me stop this right now because it's gonna stop the live stream. And it's just like, yeah, they're insane. So just imagine if the numbers weren't messed with, because now at this point I'm starting to think these numbers were definitely messed with. They definitely cut some of the numbers because they're hating. But I can imagine. I wonder how much
Million
they were
verified
actually there.
views. Think about the logistics of that for a moment. That
That's
is roughly
crazy.
1,250, two views every single second for an entire day and night. It's like the entire population of the Philippines or the combined populations of several European countries all deciding to sit down and watch the same 3-minute video within the same day. What makes this record likely to
Ooh.
remain unbroken forever isn't just the number itself, but the fact that YouTube has since implemented even stricter policies regarding how views are counted and how streaming is handled, making it exponentially harder for any artist, no matter how popular, to reach that triple-digit million mark again. It was a
Oof.
perfect, once-in-a-lifetime alignment of a global lockdown where everyone was glued to their screens, a fandom that had reached its absolute peak of mobilization and organizational genius, and a song that had a viral DNA built into its very rhythm. The emotional atmosphere during those 24 hours was electric. It wasn't just about watching a video, it was about a global family of millions, spread across every time zone from New York to Jakarta to Paris, staying awake, coordinating streaming parties, and sharing the pure, unadulterated joy of seeing 7 men from Seoul conquer the digital throne once again. There was a sense of collective purpose that transcended music. It was a statement to the gatekeepers of the industry that the new power had arrived, and it was digital, democratic, and unstoppable. When you look
Wow.
back at the behind-the-scenes footage of the
Amazing.
members reacting to these numbers, you see a mix of humble disbelief and a deep, quiet realization that they had moved beyond the realm of idols and into the realm of historical anomalies.
God. Have I seen that clip? I don't think I've seen that clip. That must be such an amazing feeling as I'm getting chills listening to stuff like this because, like I said, I really take this in perspective, man. I really think about what they're living through, and it's so crazy that this really, you know how people always tell you, follow your dreams, one day you'll get there, da 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 da, and you always thought that was BS because everything has something. These guys were literally the definitions of the people that actually wanted it. They worked their ass off, they perfected their craft, and they begin to take over the world in a very historical way. It's such a beautiful thing to
The
see.
Butter record is a
My
monument to a
God.
specific era of human connectivity that might never be replicated because the digital landscape is fragmenting, and the sheer unity required to push one single point of focus to 108 million views is a miracle of social engineering and love. It's a record that proves that when millions of hearts beat to the same rhythm, even the most advanced computer code in the world has to bow down. To break this, an artist would need to create a cultural moment so loud that it silences every other noise on the planet for an entire day, and in our hyper-distracted world of 2026, that feels more like a dream than a possibility. This wasn't just a win for BTS. It was the ultimate proof that the impossible is just a word used by people who haven't met the army yet. It remains the gold standard of digital dominance, a towering 108 million foot tall skyscraper in the middle of the internet that everyone can see, but no one can climb. Every time a new artist debuts or a major star makes a comeback, the question is always, can they touch the 100 million mark? And so far, the answer has been a resounding no. It stands as a testament to a time when 7 voices and 1 fandom became a digital tsunami that reshaped the coastline of pop culture forever, leaving a mark that the tide of time might never be able.
I wish I could stay, but it's 3 a.m. already. Good night, everybody. Have a great night. Everybody, please wish her a great night. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really, really appreciate your time. Really, really appreciate your time. And I'm sorry that I kept you up until 3 a.m. I'm so sorry.
To wash away. Number 4. Best-selling album of all time in South Korea, Map of the Soul, 7.
Wow.
The 5 million copy milestone, the unrivaled physical dynasty,
Wait, what year was this?
Number 4. Best-selling album of all time in South Korea, Map of the Soul, 7. The 5 million copy milestone, the unrivaled physical dynasty, the album that broke the Korean record books forever. Think about the sheer physical weight of 5 million objects, each one a piece of art, a vessel.
And that's crazy because to sell albums, physical copies nowadays, like I told you guys, that is so unheard of. Artists, top tier artists in the US right now, even if they're on the radio all the time, sometimes you hear them only sell about 25,000 copies, not even in the millions. They sometimes even get to 250,000 at most, but they're not selling millions like they used to. I remember at one point, it was such a big deal for Lil Wayne to get to 1 million copies sold. 1 million copies sold. In 2020, BTS sold 5 million copies. That says a lot and it speaks volumes.
Of stories and a symbol of a connection that spans the entire globe. We are talking about a
Wow.
record that didn't just break the scales, it completely recalibrated.
Have a great night. Thank you so much for being here. 2:16 a.m. Oh my God. God bless. Have a great night. Thank you for being here. Everybody. Good night. Say it. Good night. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Shout outs to you, Netters.
Celebrated what we thought was possible in a digital-first world. To understand why Map of the Soul 7 is the ultimate untouchable titan, we have to travel back to the late 90 seconds, the so-called golden age of Korean physical music, when legends like Kim Gunmo held a record of 3.3 million copies that everyone, literally everyone in the industry assumed would stand until the end of time because, let's be real, the world moved to streaming and physical CDs, became
Facts.
collector's items rather than necessities. But BTS looked at that permanent record and decided to rewrite history with a level of ambition that felt almost mythological, releasing Map of the Soul 7 in February 2020 as a grand, sprawling celebration of their 7 years together, 7 members, and a journey that had taken them from the basement to the stars. The numbers that started rolling in weren't just high, they were terrifyingly unprecedented, with pre-orders alone smashing through the 4 million mark before.
Ooh, pre-orders alone starting at the 4 million mark. And this was before. Let me see. Let's see if we can get some numbers real quick. Okay. Okay. So, right now, at this moment, it says, well, as of, I guess, let's see. So it's around 4 million and, oh my God, almost at 41 million. We're just going to round it up. 4.1 million. Almost at 4.1 million pre-orders. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? 4 point, almost at 4.1 million pre-orders, not pre-saves. This is not digital. This is physical copies of albums. 4.1 million in 2026 is absolutely insane. What are we talking about here? They're really going to break another record this year. Oh my gosh. That's actually insane, guys. Almost 4.1 million for a blank album. Oh my God. We don't know what the song themes are. We don't know what kind of music is going to be in there. We don't know what it's even going to look like. We don't know anything about this album. Oh my God. That is another record breaking thing right there. I'm excited for that. This is history right here.
Or a single soul had even heard the full track list, proving that the bond between BTS and the ARMY wasn't just about music, it was about an absolute, unwavering trust. When the album finally dropped, it was a philosophical masterpiece, a deep dive into the shadow and ego of the human psyche based on Jungian psychology, featuring tracks like The Thunderous On and the hauntingly beautiful Black Swan, and as the sales figures climbed to 4.1, 4.2, and eventually passed the 5 million mark on the Gaon chart, now Circle chart, the world realized they weren't just looking at a successful
Oh
album,
my
they were looking at a
God.
cultural monument.
Oh my God. And this is their last album. Oh my God. We're looking at about the same thing this year, if not more, because now there's more ARMY that is coming into play. There's more people that are interested and they're excited because they hear BTS is coming back and they're like, wait, who is BTS? And I love the fact that ARMY, you guys are not mean, like I said. You guys are the type that be like, BTS is back, yes, but check out their stuff. They're amazing. Little do you know, you guys start recommending all of these amazing tracks and then it's like you're just on a ongoing up up of all these amazing music and just like, oh my God, like these guys can do no wrong, for real, for real. Oh wow,
This record is
it's
widely
crazy.
considered impossible to break in the modern era because of a fundamental shift in how people consume media. In 2026, we live in a world of hyperfragmentation and 15-second sound bites, making the idea of 5 million people going out of their way to purchase a full-length, physical, high-concept Korean album feel like a beautiful relic from a more unified time. Each of the
Wow.
7 members poured their entire souls into this project, with solo tracks that acted as personal confessionals. Think about the vulnerability in V's Inner Child, where he spoke to his younger self in a way that made millions of fans weep, or the sleek, introspective energy of Jungkook's My Time, where he grappled with a childhood spent in the blinding spotlight of global fame. Then you have Jimin's Filter, a track so charismatic and versatile that it became a social media phenomenon in its own right, showcasing his ability to morph into whatever the world needs him to be, yet remaining profoundly himself. The production scale was equally insane, taking over Grand Central Terminal in New York for a performance of Own that felt more like a military invasion of the world's cultural capital, a moment that stayed etched in our collective memory as the last great hurrah before the world went into lockdown. What makes this 5 million plus record truly locked in history is the sheer logistical and emotional mobilization required. To even come close to this, a new artist would need a fandom that is not just large, but fanatically organized and deeply invested in the physical tangibility of the music, a trait that the BTS army has perfected into a literal science. Critics often point out that while Western artists might dominate digital play, BTS operates on a level of devotional economy, where every purchase is a vote of confidence, a brick in the fortress of their legacy, and map of the soul. 7 is the tallest tower in that fortress. There's a profound reflection here about the nature of the number 7. It's the number of completion, of perfection, and in this album, it represented the culmination of a decade of struggle, of being the underdogs who were mocked for their name, only to become the only artists in history to sell more than 5 million units of a single Korean language project. As we look at the music landscape today, even with the global expansion of K-pop, the numbers are beginning to plateau because the peak physical era of the early 2022s was a unique lightning in a bottle moment that required a specific global climate and a specific group of 7 men who felt like they were carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire generation on their shoulders. When you hold that album in your hands, you aren't just holding plastic and paper, you are holding a piece of the record that proves South Korean culture could not only compete with the West, but could fundamentally outsell, outperform, and outlast the biggest names in Hollywood. It was the moment BTS became bigger than the industry itself, a moment when the limit was officially deleted from their vocabulary. The emotional weight of this achievement is doubled when you realize it happened just as the pandemic was about to separate the group from their fans for 2 long years. Those 5 million albums became the physical anchors that kept the fandom connected during the long, silent months of isolation. Can you imagine the
Wow.
pressure of being the person who has to try and beat this? You aren't just fighting for sales, you are fighting against a ghost, against a legend, against a moment in time when 7 voices perfectly synchronized to capture the heart of the planet. This record isn't just a number on a chart, it's a permanent scar on the face of the music industry. A reminder that for one glorious moment, physical music wasn't dead, it was more alive than it had ever been, fueled by the
Oof.
love of millions who wanted to own a piece of history. Map of the Soul, 7 remains the gold standard, the unbreakable ceiling, and the definitive proof that while trends come and go, a dynasty built on 5 million physical promises is a dynasty that will never truly fall. The question isn't if anyone will ever break it. The question is, why would they even try when the peak has already been reached by the kings of the era? This record stands as a monolithic achievement that reminds us that sometimes a group comes along that is simply too big for the world to handle, leaving behind a trail of numbers that look less like statistics and more like an impossible dream.
Oh my God. How are you guys enjoying this video so far? I've heard some of these achievements in other videos, but I never heard it to the magnitude of the explanations that we're getting in this video. And it's like I've never heard it. I'm just speechless and I cannot believe really the amount of amazingness that this group is. This truly is one of the craziest things we're witnessing. Music history. Music history. Wow.
Number 3. Billboard Social 50 Chart Longevity, the 200-week reign, the digital fortress of the century, the record that literally forced Billboard to change the rules forever.
Right? And you know what's so funny? I randomly found this video in my YouTube algorithm because I was looking to see what we should do today. I'm like, you know what? I want to implement some news. I want to talk a little bit about, just what's going on. And then I seen this and I'm like, well, this is a cool little topic to talk about. I thought it was going to be, just achievements and I was going to talk most of the time, but this video is so detailed. I really love it. I really love it. I'm gonna look into this channel a lot more. Let's go ahead and give him a little bit of shine real quick. Like I told you guys, it is OT7 Whispers. This is the channel right here, OT7 Whispers. Go ahead and subscribe to that. But this right here has to be a very good video, and I'm excited to see more from this channel. I'm gonna hit them up and make sure that they allow it. I'm just doing this right now.
To truly grasp why this specific milestone is considered the absolute unbreakable wall of the modern music era, we have to travel back to a time when the digital world was a wild frontier, and social media was just beginning to dictate who lived and who died in the court of public opinion, a time when the Billboard Social 50 wasn't just a list, but a battlefield where the biggest stars on the planet fought for every single ounce of relevance and engagement. Launching in 2010, the Social 50 was designed by Billboard to measure the pulse of the internet, tracking the most active artists across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Wikipedia. And for years, it was dominated by the literal titans of Western pop culture. Think about the absolute iron grip that Justin Bieber, Rihanna, and Taylor Swift held over this chart, where Bieber's 163 non-consecutive weeks at #1 was considered a record that would stand for a century, because who could possibly be more social than the person who literally grew up in front of a webcam? But then, on the 29th of October 2016, a 7-member group from South Korea entered the chart at #1 for the first time, and the world of music analytics was never the same again. What began as a surprising entry turned into a multi-year occupation that defies every law of statistical probability we have ever known in the entertainment business. By February 2020, BTS didn't just break Justin Bieber's long-standing record. They absolutely demolished it, passing the 164-week mark, and then just never leaving. Staying at the summit for an
And that's not a joke. Justin Bieber was it for years, man. Bieber fever was crazy. Crazy. Like, I remember my niece, the one that introduced me to BTS. Before BTS, it was Justin Bieber. She had the Bieber fever like crazy. I remember her birthdays were always like, get me this Justin Bieber stuff. Now, and she even told me herself, because I brought this up not too long ago when I seen her. I brought this up and I was telling her how we've been doing content with, BTS. And then I told everybody that you're the reason why, we're into it so much. And, she's shy and stuff like that. But I also reminded her, I'm like, you know what's so crazy? Before you were into BTS, you really were into Justin Bieber, and you had a lot of Bieber fever. And she even told me, she's like, yeah, that's true. And once she found out about BTS, she let go of Justin Bieber and just became Army, and she's been Army ever since. So it's such a cool thing to see, and that's so crazy that they broke that record, because like I said, it was no joke. He was really a big figure out here.
unfathomable 210 weeks in total, with a
Wow.
streak of 180 consecutive weeks that felt like a permanent coronation of 7 kings who had figured out a secret language of connection that the rest of the world was still trying to translate. This record is widely cited as impossible because it wasn't just about a marketing team posting pre-scheduled photos. It was about RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin,
Sugar.
V, and Jungkook turning their social media presence into a living, breathing diary that millions of people felt they were co-authoring every single day through every like, every retweet, and every mention. Imagine the sheer psychological endurance required to maintain that level of global engagement without a single week of cooling off for nearly 4 straight years. It means that even on their days off, even when they were traveling between time zones, even during the quietest moments of their lives, the sheer magnitude of the conversation surrounding them was so loud it drowned out every other artist on the planet combined. When you look at the raw data from that era, the gap between BTS at #1 and whoever was at #2 was often so massive that it looked like a glitch in the system. They weren't just winning. They were playing a completely different game in a completely different dimension. The
Wow.
emotional gravity of this record reached its peak when fans realized that the Top Social Artist Award at the Billboard Music Awards, which BTS won 6 years in a row, was essentially a physical manifestation of this digital dominance, a trophy that symbolized the transition of power from traditional gatekeepers to a decentralized global community. But here is the most shocking part of the story. This record might actually be eternal because Billboard eventually paused and then fundamentally restructured how they track social data. Many believe because the sheer overwhelming power of the BTS army had rendered the original Social 50 chart broken. One group was so dominant for so long that the chart no longer provided a competitive landscape for any other artist to exist. We are talking about a record so heavy that it literally caused the platform to buckle under its weight, forcing the industry to rethink how it measures popularity in an age where one fandom can mobilize millions of people in a matter of seconds. Reflecting on this from our current 2026 perspective, as the group prepares for their massive reunion world tour, this record serves as a reminder of the golden age of digital connection, when 7 boys from a small agency used their phones to build a bridge across the ocean, proving that intimacy is the ultimate currency of the 21st century. It wasn't just about the numbers, it was about the way Jin's dad jokes would trend worldwide within minutes, or how RM's museum visits, Namjuning, would inspire millions to go to galleries, or how a single Vante photograph from V would spark a global art conversation, or how Jungkook's late-night karaoke sessions would feel like a private party for 10 million people at once. It was a level of transparency and vulnerability that shattered the mystique of the traditional pop star and replaced it with something far more potent, genuine human companionship.
Ooh, damn. I feel the power. I feel everything. I feel so validated right now because our track record has always shown that we've been telling people that mess with us way before BTS on this channel. The same thing that they just mentioned that they did, and just the vulnerability that they showed to their people, to the people that they cater to. It made it feel like a genuine relationship. And it is a genuine relationship if you really think about it. Like, you have to be able to build something like that in order to maintain a longevity in the game where everything is being popped up. Because you got to think about it this way: if you're an artist that's coming up right now, you're not the only one that's out there. You're not the only one that's trying to get heard. You're not the only one that's trying to, make this amazing song. Like, there's going to be other people that are in competition with you. And there's even people that are before you, ahead of you. There's so many other people in the world. If you don't do it the way that they literally just said, and the same way that they just said, it's the same way that we've been telling you guys, you're not going to go nowhere, because there's so many other artists in the world that you're not going to have any loyalty. And the whole loyalty and everything that BTS has, they've earned in their own way. You guys got to find a way to do it as well, because there's only going to be so much that you could do unless you get to this freaking level. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, like I said, man, we've been preaching this for so long. Nobody listened. Then comes BTS and they give us the same things that we just said. It just makes me feel really good. And I guess that's why I'm expressing it with so much passion, because I really have been preaching this for so long. So long. And I'm going to replay this part again, because if anybody is an OG eFam in here, you need to listen to this. And if you're an artist that are just low key watching this, you need to listen to this, because this is what I literally told you in 2016, 17, and 18 that you need to do to be able to capture a group of fans and build with them. This is exactly what we
In a matter
said.
of seconds. Reflecting on this from our current
Listen.
2026 perspective, as the group prepares for their massive reunion world tour, this record serves as a reminder of the golden age of digital connection, when
There
7
we go.
boys from a small agency used
Listen.
their phones to build a bridge across the ocean, proving that intimacy is the ultimate currency of the 21st century. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just about the numbers, it was about the way Jin's dad jokes would trend worldwide within minutes, or how RM's museum visits, Namjuning, would inspire millions to go to galleries, or how a single Vante photograph from V would spark a global art conversation, or how Jungkook's late-night karaoke sessions would feel like a private party for 10 million people at once. It was a level of transparency and vulnerability that shattered the mystique of the traditional pop star and
And there you go. Literally, what you got to do is right there. Now, not to say that it's easy, because you got to actually have the charm. You got to actually, capture the people. It's not going to be easy, but I mean, that's literally the formula that we've been saying for so long, which in simple terms is you need to find the people that you're searching for. You know, you're looking for your audience, you're looking for the people that understand you. And that's just as simple as that. But this is so cool, man. Like I gotta tell my wife, I gotta show her this clip and show her and be like, look, we've been talking about this for so long and they mentioned it in this video. So cool.
Replaced it with something far more potent, genuine human companionship. To even dream of breaking a 210-week record at the top of a global social chart today would require
Oh, what happened? We've been cut. We've been cut.
a new artist
There
to
we go.
not only be a musical genius, but to also maintain a perfect, unblemished, 24/7 connection with the entire human population for over 4 years without a single mistake, a single dip in interest, or a single moment of silence. It is
Wow. You know, when I hear all that, it makes me realize that the same thing that someone would have to require, let's say an artist is coming up and they want to do what they want to do in the same magnitude, they have to be nearly perfect. Nearly perfect. So, what does that say about BTS? What does that say of how perfect they really are when it comes to their artistry and the way that they do music? These dudes are perfect. What the? That's crazy.
a
That's crazy.
record forged in the fires of a digital revolution, a testament to the time when BTS and ARMY became the undisputed masters of the internet, creating a digital fortress so strong that even the biggest Western labels couldn't find a way in. When we look back at those 210 weeks, we aren't just looking at a chart. We are looking at the history of how the world learned to love across borders, how a language barrier was dismantled by a hashtag, and how 7 voices from Seoul became the heartbeat of the entire digital universe. It remains a monolith of achievement, a towering, data-driven proof that while many can be popular, only BTS could turn the entire world into a single, unified conversation that lasted for years. This record isn't just a number, it is the definitive proof that the internet belongs to the people who use it to spread love, and for 210 weeks, that love was directed at 7 men who gave it all back, 10 times over, until the chart itself couldn't hold anymore. It is the record that killed the chart because the chart was simply too small for their legacy. And in 2026, as we stand on the edge of a new era, the 210-week reign remains the ultimate wall that no one has even come close to touching, a ghost of a dominance that redefined the very meaning of the word social.
Woo.
Number 2. Special
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. Honestly, I know a lot of, you know what's so funny? I know that this is an AI video. I know somebody, did this, but I love the fact of how detailed this is, you know, because this right here is giving me so much more knowledge of the little things that I've heard of the achievements that they've done. I'm really at a loss for words, and I think the whole time I'm like this. I'm just like, what in the world? These guys have really achieved so much in their career. So much in their career. And this is really so admirable because they really do care about the people that they know for a fact Army made them who they are. Because in all actuality, we all know if Army's not here and these guys, let's say, didn't have the fandom that they have, they wouldn't be in the position that they are. So them knowing that Army has supported them, loved them, and accepted them for who they are, they will give Army their all. And perfectly said right here. Um, that they'll talk to Army when they miss us, when they feel happy, even when they feel sad and lonely. And that's facts. And even in the holiday season, even if they just want to go live and do video games, karaoke, if they want to do whatever, they want to, 3 of them be drinking and just have fun, have a conversation in the studio, which we've seen those lives before. These guys are just here to be vulnerable and be like, hey, I'm human too, man. Let's have fun. Let's chill. What are you guys up to tonight? You know, this is what I'm gonna do. You guys want to vibe out with me? Let's do it. I love that about them, man. For real, this is so. Oh my god, it's so sick. Literally feeling proud when we know people understand them. Exactly. BTS OT7 love. Shout outs to you. And that's true. That's true. Because I think that's why everything puts us together as well. Because we all understand each other and it just makes us, that much more of fans of them, first and foremost, but also makes us all pretty much friends because we literally understand each other. You know what I'm saying? Army is priority. Facts. Facts. Adolfo is going to sleep. Where is he? Oof. Oh no. Adolfo. Have a great night, my boy. Shout outs to you, everybody. Everybody. Say good night to Adolfo. Have a great night, bro. Sleep tight. See you next time. And they don't follow company. Exactly. They don't follow company rules. They don't care about none of that. As long as Army's happy, I'm pretty sure that they feel good about themselves. And I like that because any artist can say, "Oh, I care about my fans, like do this." In all actuality, they don't. They really don't. They don't show the amount of support and not support, my bad. That's the wrong word to say. The artist doesn't show the care for their fan base, if that makes sense. Because it's true. Gracious just said right here, artists that come live very often just talk to their fans. Like well, she's talking about BTS, but an artist just in general doesn't just come on the live. They don't interact with people. If anything, they go on live to, show off their new song, try to see if people are feeling it or not, get feedback live, or, things like that. Or they're really stuck up. You know what I'm saying? But in all actuality, these guys right here are so different. And I appreciate that because they understand, it's like I'm human. Like, what's up with you guys? I love you guys. Give me a hug, like I feel like they're so dope in real life. Obviously I don't know, but I feel like they're so dope in real life and they're just so cool, you know what I'm saying, to be around. So that's so cool, man. I really love this. Let's continue
Social.
it. Number 2.
Number 2. Special Presidential Envoy for Future Generations and Culture, the diplomatic passport to history, the UN General Assembly takeover, the most watched moment in United Nations history. To truly understand why this record sits at the penultimate spot on our list, you have to look past the flashing lights of the concert stage and into the solemn, high-stakes corridors of the United Nations headquarters in New York, where, for one historic week in September 2021, the world's most famous boy band transitioned into the world's most powerful diplomats. We are talking about a feat so unprecedented that it sounds more like a plot from a political thriller than the reality of a K-pop group. BTS became the first ever pop artist to be officially appointed as special presidential envoys for South Korea, complete with red diplomatic passports and a mission to represent the voices of future generations on the global stage. This isn't just a record of popularity, it is a record of cultural legitimacy that no other musical act has ever touched in the history of modern
None.
international relations. When RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook.
And the reason I said this is an AI video because she keeps saying suga. It's sugar. Okay? Let's get that correct.
Stage. This isn't just a record of popularity, it is a record of cultural legitimacy that no other musical act has ever touched in the history of modern international relations. When RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook walked into the General Assembly Hall, they weren't there to perform for fans, they were there to address world leaders, heads of state, and the UN Secretary General himself, bringing with them the collective anxiety, grief, and hope of millions of young people who had survived the global pandemic. The statistical side of this record is equally mind-blowing. When BTS took the podium for their speech at the SDG moment, the official UN YouTube livestream, which usually garners a few thousand viewers, suddenly surged to over 1 million concurrent live viewers, effectively breaking the digital infrastructure of a global peacekeeping organization.
Oof. Oh my God, bro. Man, when Army shows up, Army shows up. They support. And it doesn't matter what they do. Army's there no matter what. I love that.
This was the most watched session in the 76-year history of the United Nations, a moment where the soft power of Hallyu became a hard reality in global politics. What makes this record truly impossible and likely to stay in the hands of BTS forever is the sheer gravity of the moment. They didn't just give a speech. They turned the entire UN headquarters into a music video set for Permission to Dance, dancing through the aisles of the General Assembly and out onto the lawns, a permission that would likely never be granted to any other artist in our lifetime. Each member shared a piece of their soul during that 2021 address, rejecting the label of a lost generation, and instead renaming the youth of today as the Welcome Generation, a generation that welcomes change instead of fearing it. This was a direct
Yeah.
follow-up to their legendary 2018 Speak Yourself speech at the UN, where RM's words about loving yourself regardless of your mistakes became a mantra for millions, proving that their influence wasn't a temporary trend but a sustained, decade-long commitment to social change. In 2026, as the world of diplomacy becomes even more fragmented, looking back at that unified moment when 7 Korean men were given the authority of government officials to speak for the planet feels like a fever dream that only BTS could have made real. They were literally
That's insane. Oh
given the
my
key to the most
God.
exclusive room in the world, and they used it to open the door for everyone else. To break this record, another artist would need not only the global reach of a superstar, but the flawless reputation and cultural weight required to be trusted by a sovereign nation to represent its interests at the highest level of government. It requires a level of clean influence and intellectual depth that BTS spent years cultivating through their Love Myself campaign with UNICEF, which has raised millions of dollars to end violence against children. When you see those 7 red passports, you aren't looking at travel documents. You are looking at the definitive proof that BTS had moved beyond the music category and into the human history category. They shattered the idol stereotype by proving that a pop group could be taken seriously by the leaders of the free world, forcing the international community to acknowledge that the power of art is sometimes more effective than the power of politics. Can you
Woo.
imagine the pressure of standing at that podium, knowing that every world leader is watching you, but also knowing that 10 million kids are counting on you to say the right thing? This record is a monument to the bridge they built between the elite and the everyday, a bridge.
And you know what? I would definitely trust. I would give my full trust to RM to handle that. And I'm sure Army felt the same way. They already knew. Because to a lot of the leaders, a lot of these guys will probably be like, oh, I don't really know much about them, or I don't listen to them because these are all older guys. You know what I'm saying? But when RM spoke and Army knew that he was going to speak, we already knew. Well, obviously, in this time, I didn't know, but you guys already knew that he was about to come up with some amazing points and he was just going to say something good, you know? So I'm sure you guys weren't worried about it. Everybody else was, but I'm pretty sure that's what the case was for this one.
That is now paved with the footsteps of 7 boys from Seoul who refuse to stay in their lane. It is a record of dignity, a record of
God.
diplomacy, and a record of a global heartbeat that found its voice in the halls of the UN. As we prepare for the final, ultimate record on our list, let the red passports of BTS serve as a reminder that their legacy isn't just about selling out stadiums, it's about changing the way the world listens to the people who will inherit it. Number 1. Guinness World Record for the most streamed group of all time on Spotify, The Digital Eternity, the sound of 70 billion.
Oh my God. That is absolutely insane. Seen at the caliber of what this meant and just really getting a full detail of the intensity, but also the importance of this is crazy. A lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. But like I said, RM, we already know. Well, now I personally know he's got this. RM is the perfect person to put in a position like this because he is somebody that, you know, is able to maneuver and speak to people in this caliber. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely that guy. He's that guy. He's that guy. If you have the paid Spotify BTS audiobook, Beyond the Story is included. Though I'm a little lit professor and prefer books, it's super interesting to listen. Okay, I'll check it out. I don't have it to be honest, but I'll definitely check it out. I'll try to see if I can find it. And they do wait, and they talk about other artists and share other artists' music, and that's dope. And that's dope, and that's something that I would have to say I could admire about them because they're literally showing us with their own actions it's okay to listen to other people. It's okay. I mean, we're human. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we're gonna have our favorites, but it's okay to listen to other people. You don't gotta just hate on somebody else. It's okay. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Uh, they go to other artists' concerts and support them, post it on their stories, and wow, wow, and they talk about it in their lives too. That's dope. I have yet to see that, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some old clips of that. To be honest. And last year, RM spoke at the APEC and mentioned Army, another record. Facts. I was there. I reacted to it. It was so fire. All right, let's get back into the video. So we got one more. I know this is a long one, but it was something so special that I knew you guys would like. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
Number 1. Guinness World Record for the most streamed group of all time on Spotify, The Digital Eternity, The Sound of 70 Billion Souls, the absolute conquest of the global ear. To truly grasp the weight of this final, most gargantuan record, you have to stop thinking about music in terms of charts or trophies and start thinking about it as the literal soundtrack of human existence. Because what BTS has achieved on Spotify isn't just a record, it is a digital empire that spans every continent, every time zone, and every possible human emotion. We are talking about a milestone that is so vast, so statistically overwhelming, that it actually defies the traditional logic of the music industry. As of our current vantage point in early 2026, with the group standing on the precipice of their most anticipated reunion tour in history, the total stream count for BTS has climbed into a stratosphere where no other group in the history of recorded sound has ever breathed. We are looking at a cumulative total that has soared past the 60 billion and even the 70 billion mark, a number so large that if you played every BTS stream back to back, you would be listening for hundreds of thousands of years without a single second of silence. This journey to the top of the Spotify mountain didn't start with a bang, it started with a whisper back in 2013 when 7 boys from a tiny room in Seoul were uploading covers to SoundCloud because the mainstream platforms didn't even know they existed. Think about the sheer raw determination it took for RM to lead this group from those humble beginnings, where they were literally handing out flyers on the streets of Los Angeles, to becoming the undisputed kings of the world's largest streaming platform. The most streamed group record is unique because it isn't based on a single moment of hype or a one-hit wonder. It is a record of pure, unadulterated endurance. It is built on the backs of Dynamite, which became a multi-billion stream monster, Butter, which continued the streak, and Boy With Love. But the real secret to this record's immortality lies in the B-sides and the deep cuts that fans listen to every single day, as if their lives depended on it. We are talking about the Spring Day Effect, a song released years ago that still garners millions of streams every single week, acting as a perennial queen of the charts that refuses to abdicate her throne. It is a song that has become...
You guys did say that too. Man. You guys, and like I said, man, you guys are so informative on some real stuff, surreal stuff. I understand BTS is amazing, but I gotta give it to you guys as well. I'm not gonna not give credit to Army because you guys are really the reason why I learned a lot from or for wait, you guys are the reason why I learned a lot about BTS. I was gonna say from BTS, but I guess you could say that, right? From BTS. But it's such a beautiful thing because you guys would in the beginning you guys would go to the videos and just like post so much information And this is when the comments weren't so crazy, and I would go through all of the comments, and I would like really read all of them, and I'd be like, oh my god, like I was learning a lot through the comments. And as I was learning from the comments, the next video we would react to, it would talk a little bit about what you guys talked about. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm getting so much information, and I'm like really enduring it and learning, and it's so dope. It's so dope.
Released years ago that still garners millions of streams every single week, acting as a perennial queen of the charts that refuses to abdicate her throne. It is a song that has become a national anthem of longing and hope, proving that BTS doesn't just make music to dance to, they make music to live
Facts.
by. When
Yep.
you look at the Spotify Billions Club, you see a few names here and there, but BTS has turned it into their personal lounge, with multiple tracks crossing that legendary 10-digit threshold, a feat that only a handful of solo titans like Taylor Swift or Drake can even dream of competing with. But here is the emotional core of this record. For the ARMY, a stream has never been just a click or a play. It is a way of saying, I am here, I am listening, and you saved me. During the long years of the group's mandatory military service, while the world waited for this very moment in 2026, the streaming numbers didn't drop, they actually increased, as
Oof.
fans used the music to bridge the gap of physical absence, creating a digital loop of love that never stopped spinning. Each member's solo work also fed back into this massive ocean of data, with Jungkook's 7 and Standing Next to You breaking solo records left and right, yet always reinforcing the primary brand of the 7-member brotherhood. This record is widely considered the most impossible to break because it requires a level of catalog strength that takes decades to build, yet BTS did it in just over one. To even come close to this, a new group would have to release hundreds of songs that all maintain a high level of daily engagement for years on end, without ever losing their cultural relevance or their emotional connection to the audience. In a world where music is often treated as a disposable commodity, BTS has created a library of sound that people return to as if it were a sacred text. Reflecting on this in 2026, as the group prepares to drop their first full group studio album in years, the Spotify King title feels less like an award and more like a permanent state of being. The sheer scale of the 70 billion stream milestone means that even if BTS never released another song, it would take decades for any other group to even catch a glimpse of their shadow. This record is the ultimate proof that the language barrier is a myth. When people from the favelas of Brazil, the cafes of Paris, the skyscrapers of Tokyo, and the rural towns of America are all pressing play on the same Korean lyrics, you realize that BTS has achieved a level of global synchronization that the world has never seen before. It is the sound of a borderless world, a testament to the fact that 7 voices from a
Damn.
small agency could eventually become the loudest sound on the planet. As we close this list of the 7 wonders of the BTS era, the Spotify record stands as the most profound of them all, because it is the one that is powered by us, the listeners. It is a record of our late-night study sessions, our morning commutes, our heartbreak, and our greatest joys, all distilled into digital bits and projected back to 7 men who gave us everything. This isn't just the #1 record, it is the definitive story of the 21st century's greatest musical revolution, a revolution that was televised, tweeted, and most importantly, streamed, until the very concept of impossible was left in the dust. The most streamed group of all time isn't just a title, it is the eternal echo of a bond that changed the world forever. And in 2026, that echo is only getting louder, proving that the legend of BTS isn't just history, it's the future.
It's the future. Oh my gosh. Like I said, shout outs to OT7Whispers for this amazing, amazing detailed video. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh my gosh. You guys, are you I know you guys know this stuff already, but I never heard the full details of this amazing journey that they've gone through. And these are just 7 of the achievements. And we all know they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of achievements. It is so amazing, so crazy, such a beautiful, historic thing to see. And to be honest, I'm very, very excited to see what happens in the future, because they're just going to continue to break records. They're going to continue to even collab with other people that, in all actuality, you guys were not lying when you said BTS really doesn't need to collab with no one. They just do it because they love to expand their music, their catalog, and their collaborations. But they really don't need to do it because they're just amazing already with them themselves. You know what I'm saying? So this is so amazing to see. It's just another reminder of how much, you know, it takes, really, how much it really takes to be at the top without the help of the industry. This is crazy. Army makes 9-year-old songs back to it. Speaking of, oh my God, you just reminded me. Thank you so much, Rena. She said Army makes 9-year-old songs back to the charts, and that is so true. That is so true. You know what's so funny? I've been posting on TikTok. Example, I've been posting on TikTok for a while, and I've been obviously adding BTS songs to the background. When I would write BTS, none of the songs would say popular on them. As of, I want to say, 4 or 5 days ago, when I was posting on there, I would put BTS. First, it started off with one of the songs saying popular. Now it's up to 3 or 4. Try it if you want. It's the truth. It's the truth. It wasn't like that 4 or 5 days ago, but it is now. A few more very old, yeah, and that's true. That's true. They really do that, and I like that because I'm probably one of the reasons too. Because I be bumping BTS pretty heavy, to be honest. It's such a good vibe. I really enjoy it. I really do. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just love it.